Hello and welcome everybody to another Sim News broadcast here for Formula Sim Racing World Championships. We're doing a pre-race here for the World Championship itself, which is going to get underway in about half an hour's time. I'm not the normal commentator, I'm not normal I'm here as Scrutineer. I thank you for joining me and up against some football maybe on the other side. Don't worry about that. Watch this, this is going to be much more entertaining than those prima donnas running around the field. So we've got an awful lot of action coming up. Today on this half-hour show, we're going to be talking through the ins and outs of maybe what's happened last time, what's going on the season generally, broadcast and having a bit of a review of the free practice as well, see if we can gain anything from that ahead of the qualifying and race, which are coming up in just over half an hour. If you remember last time, we came from Italy, so we were in Monza. This time we're at Singapore. So last time out in Monza, I'll quickly run you through what on earth happened briefly. We actually had Simracing carrying on his great form at the moment and winning that race by, not by a lot, put it that way, by under a second to Patel. Very closely followed again by quite an impressive drive from Alessandro. Hoyer came in fourth and Gosby made it fifth. It was quite an exciting race, being a very different track to the one we're on now, so we might see some very different results, completely moving from the fast pace that is Monza and its straights and everybody doing a bit of drafting, to Singapore, which is a bit of a street circuit. It's very tight, twisty, it's hard on the brakes. It's going to see an awful lot of, it could be a completely different ball game. Everyone who had the setups dialed in for Monza might have a bit of a struggle here, and you might vice versa. Of course, though, the two guys at the top, Simracing and Patel, might well be have been like that all season. So we might see that happening again, but the title race is coming down as well. We're here at Singapore. We're going to have 61 laps later on. If you've been watching Formula Sim Racing already over the weekend, we've already had the Ace race yesterday and the Pro race only about an hour ago. So we've learnt an awful lot from that as well, remembering that all these series all run the same car. So it's quite an interesting way. It's almost like having two runs before this. It's like two practice runs to see what's going on. The circuit itself, 5 kilometers, just over 5 kilometers anyway. So it makes it probably one of the longest races of the year. It can be quite a challenge for these drivers to keep that pressure, because it is so close. Every race we've seen this year has been close up and down the field. I mean, most leagues might have one or two drivers that are pretty close. This has got like 12, 13 drivers, which are all going to be so close to each other on. And in theory, any mistakes, anyone could win at all. And the mistakes here, it means you end up in the wall sometimes. It's going to be horrendous. So let's have a look at the championship standings, shall we, before we move into anything else kicking off. So we've got Patel leading the way with 216 points, but he is now being caught over the last couple of races, with Simracing winning, Simracing in second with 173, so the title's not over yet. Martin Gosby, a solid third at the moment, 144. Daniel Kiss runs in at fourth with 125. Michi Hoyer in fifth with 101. There's then a little bit of a gap back to Alessandro with 68, Stefanko with 49, and Moscudo with 49. Lars Brugman and Daniel Brewer round out the field, but are not currently still running in the championship. The team's championship, a little less close, but there's still a lot to play for potentially. So Musto Racing leading the way with 343 points. Flag to Flag doing a very good job in second with 192, very closely followed by Go Speed with 190. Avic Racing 158, Twister Racing 117, Storm Charge Bubble with 67, Netrex with 41. Ghost Speed Engineering, 38. Invictus have got 31. Born to Win have got 18. We'll go through the rest anyway. Madcape have now pulled out the championship, so Drillers are in that place and have yet to score a point, but are still only very, very recently joining this series. We've still got a few rounds of this championship left, of course, so the season's not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. Talking last time, there's a few bits that you might see coming into this qualifying session, pre-practice and the race. You'll find that if these drivers race, so Eros Masciuli has a back of the grid. Giorgio Valeriano also does, but he actually won't be racing. We'll come on to that. And Harley Hamnet is being told he has to start from the pits as well. Anyone who's late allocating would also have to start from the pits, so there might be a couple there. The two I want to talk about, though, with you guys, we've got two standing drivers, because they drive in Ace and Pro respectively, but we have seen them a little bit in World Championship this season. But it's Callas and Panzar. So Callas is in at Netrex in place of Valeriano again. He raced Monza as well. But the interesting thing with him is he's leading the Ace standing so far He actually raced yesterday at this circuit in this car. Pole won by 26 seconds. So he's obviously got the speed. Now, it's a great way to have a proper comparison between the World Championship and the Ace Series to actually see where that level is. Because, you know, if you're a top Ace guy, can you hack it with the top guys in WC? We'll find out. So far, he hasn't set blistering pace, but he had been up there in, you know, Monza, for example. I think he qualified about 5th, if I remember rightly. He dropped down the order during the race a little bit, but nonetheless, he still showed that he is up there with the top guys in pace. So watch out for him and that Netrex. Panzer as well. He's in for Stefanko at Abercrombie, and in doing so, he put his car on pole in Pro only 2 hours ago at this track in his place, and in doing that, he actually managed to bring the car home 3rd. He probably should have won it. He'll probably be kicking himself a little bit, but realistically, he's up there on pace as well. And when you actually look at their qualifying times that they both set, unbelievably close. In that Callas set a 1:39.528 for pole, whereas Panzer set a 1:39.434, so just over a tenth in it, which is mighty close. It gives you a bit of a guide as we look through this free practice here as well to see if anyone's anywhere near that sort of pace. Obviously, rubber plays a huge factor in these things, in that it will just get quicker and quicker and quicker as it goes on. There's an awful lot. I mean, the practice session you're currently watching, they're only about 10 minutes into it, so at the moment these times will just keep tumbling. This practice session does carry through the whole time we're here and into qualifying, so all the rubber does carry through. So by the time they get to the end of qualifying, that is when it's most rubbered in and when you will see these guys really setting those blistering pace times. I think, yep. So at the moment, you might see on your screens, we've got Luke Maguire currently set in the timesheets alive with a 39.79. Michi Hoyer just very closely behind with Daniel Giss and Gianni Simonchik and Patel. I mean, the two drivers there are ridiculously close. They're within a hundredth of each other, 100th of each other. They're in 4th and 5th at the moment. Just showing how close it is. We've got 18 runners and riders at the moment in the practice server. So this is a good, 20 minutes before the qualifying even goes. So on that basis, we're going to have quite a good turnout. Remember, of course, if you want to come and join me, you're more than welcome. Come and join me in the studio. I'm only on the Formula Sim Racing Discord. There's a Sim News channel further down in broadcast. Come and say hello. I'd love to hear your opinions on the championship so far, what's going on, what your race is going to be like. If you're a manager or a driver, even better. The question we're polling today, we're going to see, is the championship, really. Is it going to go to Patel or is it going to go to Simracing? Now, that's quite an ask, I'll grant you, to be doing that at the moment. But why not? Let's try it. What can possibly go wrong there? Who's gonna do it? I know you might have a bit of team allegiances, which isn't just a popularity contest. I do want to know, where do you really see this happening? Patel has got that lead. That's great. He's got that lead, but he has been beaten the last few rounds by Simracing. If that carries on to the end of the year, you're not going to need much issues from Patel to potentially drop this championship, where it just looks like it was just in his hands only a few rounds ago. A couple of mistakes, or particularly around this sort of circuit where the wall is so close. I mean, you're just watching the guys go around as we speak, and they get so mighty close to every wall as they go around, which they would expect them to, because these are the top guys in rfactor here racing away. You'd expect them to manipulate the track for every corner and every minuscule tenth of a second, hundredth of a second, thousandth of a second they can possibly get out of that car. But in doing so, if you make the smallest error, or your tyres are going off, or the biggest factor really is other cars. There's that many other people about that you can't predict them. You can do a great qualifying lap, but you can't always predict these guys, what they're going to do, how they're going to overtake, particularly as we've got two different tyre compounds. If anyone watched the Monza race, you'll see that the two different tyre compounds made a huge difference in pace. Of course they do that. They do, and if you watch any Formula 1 or anything like that, the tyres are all very different. They have got to run both in the race. They have got to run both compounds. And so you do find that sometimes people on different strategies have different, have the different tyres on at different times. So it does look like they were set in blistering pace, but not actually necessarily quicker than the other guy. They just are, because the tyres might be a second out or something like that. It's mad sometimes, the difference that you can get. If you're talking to me at the moment, I think, it looks to me that Patel is potentially playing this safe. He thinks he's got the tyre to win the bag. I think he's got the tyre to win the bag if he just carries on doing what he's doing. He only really needs to get the podium all the time. He doesn't need to be playing around for that. He doesn't need to be the one going for every last little inch like we were talking about. He can play it a little bit back. You know, a 99% Patel is probably still good enough for a podium. So if he keeps playing like that, whereas Simracing has to do that 100%, you know, every time. I mean, he's leading the time standings at the moment, even in free practice. To be on a 39.563 at the moment just shows the quality there. That would have just put him behind Callis in the ace at the moment. For put him second place on grid for ace if he'd done that. Maguire equally is very close as well. You know, he's on thousandths behind as well. So it just shows the pace that these guys are already at this stage. We're only 15 minutes into this session, so you know there's an awful lot more to come pace-wise from these guys as well. So remember, guys, this is the pre-race show, so I want to hear from you lot. What are you thinking? What is out there? What are you looking forward to? Ask anything. We can talk about anything. There's an awful lot happening in the world of Formula Sim racing. Obviously, we're talking World Championship here, but we have just seen a great pro race as well. You may have watched the Ace race. If you haven't watched either of those, you can go onto the Formula Sim Racing YouTube channel, which is in our description, as is the link to the live show, the live broadcast, which will be live in about 15 to 20 minutes. But at the end of this practice session, when they move into qualifying, is normally when they start that one up. At the moment, we can see some great times falling at the moment, actually. There's some great times setting. Patel, interestingly, he's on a good lap at the moment, actually, and set a purple first sector, which means you can catch all this, by the way, on raceview.nl. If you're watching that, you can catch all the live timing. If you can't watch the broadcast or you want a little bit more detail, potentially, you can look at top speeds, you can look at everything in there, how many laps they've done, all those sort of things. But Patel has set the purple, which means fastest of everybody first sector, and the third sector as well goes top there. So that's actually a 39.434, which is exactly the same time as Robin Pansar set in pro for pole there. So that's the quickest time we've seen all weekend so far. In fact, D'Alessandro is equally, 6 thousandths behind, so that's ridiculously close as well. Maybe he'll swing a surprise today. He did very well out of Monza. He pulled himself up to third. He was right there on pace. But all those three, actually, Patel, Simracing, and Alessandro, were all in 2 seconds come the end of the race. I mean, and that at Monza as well. I mean, that's mighty close. So maybe he'll spring a surprise. Maybe we can see, him jumping up and getting himself a win out of this. It could happen. I mean, I didn't even include him in my poll, but maybe you should. Yeah. So maybe we can have a look at that. So Patel or Simracing, people, come on, let's have a go at this. I mean, whether I should put my pin myself to the matter, I think at the moment Patel's obviously got the pace there, but I don't think he's going to really go for that as much. Simracing, though, I hear isn't quite as prepared for this one as some he has been. I mean, if you're a top driver, though, and he's obviously had the car dialed in on previous rounds, so he probably will be thereabouts. Patel, on the other hand, could be really after this. He's been almost showing up now for a couple of races, but, having lost out. How annoying, if you're a driver, how annoying must that be to lose out a race across the whole race distance by under a second? You've been going on for an hour, but I think it was about an hour 15 the last race, and to finish it, under a second behind the guy in front is unbelievable. And talking of Callis before, Callis has actually set himself a 139.374, which is by far the quickest we've seen now of anyone across all three championships, which you'd expect. We're in the World Championship here. You'd expect this to be the top championship. It's a bit mad if it wasn't, but that's fantastic. Maybe he can live up to the potential that we're expecting him to do. Having done Ace yesterday and won that at Canter, can he bring that into this and really show everyone else up? If he can, that kind of shows he's probably in the wrong series if he's doing Ace at the moment. He obviously can race Sundays. He's doing it now. I don't know the guy's history. I don't know that side of stuff, but we've seen before Ace winners moving on up. So like Michi Hoyer, for example, he won it the other year. He's now into the World Championship. So I probably expect Callis to do that next year. If he doesn't, potentially carry on for the rest of the year, who knows? But at the moment, leading Ace is a great achievement from him. And we do expect him to be right up there. If he can mix it up with these guys as well, if you start getting Alessandro and Callis mixing it up between Patel and Simracing, that really impacts the championship as well. Because, whereas we were talking before about if they come first and second and things like that, I mean, Michi Hoyer at the moment has actually set 2 purple sectors. I'm interested to see what his third sector is going to look like when he comes around. If he can set an even faster time, we could see some blistering times here. Absolutely. Anyone who wants to come and help me in here, I'm more than welcome to say hello, join me, tell me what's going on. Remember that. So I just had a message. That was all. But yeah, let's see what Mitchy can do if he can set it up there. But these guys, if they can get in between a Simracing or a Patel, one way or the other, in fact, he just misses out and does a 139.420. That wasn't a great final sector by himself, but still ridiculously close at the top there. You know, if you can get anywhere near those guys, then that just impacts the championship massively. You're talking Luke Maguire's right there as well, Daniel Kiss. All these guys are in the sub 140, the 139. You know, they're winning a couple of tenths of each other in total, and that's like the top 6 at the moment. So that's going to be, if that can relate into, if that can relate all the way through to the actual race and qualifying, then of course we're going to see a fantastic Grand Prix here. We've got, who have we got in the server now? We're up to 19, which is fantastic. I'm not sure how Rusty is driving for, but we're still only in free practice. So you might see the odd person jumping in and out who potentially isn't driving today necessarily, or has driven already and maybe given a bit of feedback to the guys that are prepping. Of course, is D'Alessandro there, 139.245. Wow, that's just incredible. I mean, that's just utter madness, really. Can we see anyone break the 139 barrier? That would be madness, wouldn't it? If we can get to 138 something, I think that's madness. I think that's too far. But they are getting ridiculously close. These guys, they're pushing each other to the absolute limits on these things. Yeah, if they can just keep on going. So let's have another gander and remind you of what's coming up. Remember, of course, we've got another 10 minutes of this practice left. In 10 minutes' time, you'll then find that you can flip over to the Formula Sim Racing YouTube channel, which is in our description. They'll have the main broadcast on the go, so they'll have the qualifying followed by the race. The full race, all broadcast completely. They're hopefully in DX11, maybe not. I'm not too sure at this stage. We did do ace in that yesterday. Looked mighty fine. But whatever it is, you don't want to miss these guys in this championship. I've never seen something so close with so many drivers so close. Obviously, people that have, I mean, I'm not always here. You've always seen these things before. Let's quickly go through the Drivers' Championship again for people that have missed it potentially in the last 10 minutes, before the last 10 minutes. So we've got Patel leading the championship. We were just talking about how close it all is for everybody. He's got 216 points, but being caught now by Simracing with 173 and Gosby with 144. Daniel Kiss 125 and Mitchy Hoyer 101. D'Alessandro there I'll mention as well in 6th with 68 points, but at the moment he's showing a lot more pace than maybe that shows. In the Teams Championship, Musto Racing pretty much dominating at the moment with 343. Flag to Flag with 192. Go Speed with 190, so that's mighty close there, 2nd and 3rd, with Eric Connick on the heels as well with 158, and Twister with 117. So still very close from 2nd to sort of 5th. Top place may be out of reach now, potentially for some. They'd have to sort of probably implode at this stage, probably that form, which I can't see happening. But, you know, I want to see what on earth's going to happen with this this championship. There's so much going on and so close on this, even in this pre-practice. Simracing has gone quicker again. Gosby's in there now as well in 3rd with 139.340. We've got Callis still in there. Hoyer, you know. So you actually look, Florian Becker, 139.550, beating Maguire there. I mean, they're all, in fact, Maguire, if you went all the way back to Daniel Kiss, who were under half a second, is 1 to 9. That's madness. On a track like this as well, where it's so twisty and so much going on, it's not, you know, you'd imagine at Monza that sort of thing could happen. It's about 5 corners. Whereas this is just madness to be this close. So everyone has to bring in their A game so far. Talking of bringing their A game, it appears as though I've been joined by Mr. Chris Raby. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Mike. Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining me. I was getting, I think everyone was getting sick of my own voice, to be fair.
No, that's fine. I'm always happy to join in.
Well, that's great. By the way, anyone else wants to join, they're more than welcome. We've got another 8-9 minutes of this, so more than welcome. We can all have a big party in the SimNews.TV box here. You only need to come into the Formula Sim Racing Discord and come and join us, basically. Come say hello. So, Chris, as we were talking a little bit of our poll at the moment, Patel or Simracing for the season? Where's it going? Where's the title going?
Well, you know, after the first, half of the season, it looked like Patel was running away with it, but Simracing has definitely been coming off the summer break pretty well. Yeah, I think Simracing has definitely, upped his game after the summer break. Patel, maybe, he hasn't had the best of races, but he's always managed to get good points, and so it's going to be close towards the end of the season. But I still think Patel might have the edge over Simicic.
So you're going Patel?
Yeah, I'm going to go Patel.
That's good. Well done, putting your flag to a mast. I like it. He's got that. So yeah, I mean, fair bet, isn't it? Let's be honest. I wouldn't give you great odds at the moment if you want money on it, but leading the championship at the moment, and he does look like. I mean, what do you factor? Suddenly, before we saw him miles away. He was running away from people at the start of the year. Has everyone else just found something in the setup? With before it wasn't even at Ace and at Pro. These guys are catching up now, time-wise at least. Is it just the setup, or is it just everyone's got used to it now, or dropped off a bit? What's happening there?
Well, the cars. Wow, yeah, as you say, the cars changed quite a lot. I think in terms of the tracks we've gone to and the setup work that goes into the cars. I think that Patel found his feet quite a lot easier than the other drivers, so he was able to maximise those races that he's won. So yeah, I think Ghost Speed have had a pretty good setup for the last couple of races, and you can see that with Simicic completely walking away with some of the races, especially in Monza. It looked like he was pretty strong there. But yeah, I mean, it's just a mixture of who's got the best car, who's got the best setup, and who's got the best team, really, and then the best driver will win.
Well, yeah, I mean, we must say it's all even cars, so everyone's got equal chance of doing this, of winning every race, really. It's just, I mean, what do you think to Callis and Pansar that have come in that showed great pace over the weekend in the two other series, and are now in this? I quite like the fact that it's sort of like throwing it all into one now. We're going, right, those two have done very well. They're in this. How do they compare? I quite like the comparison. I don't know what you think about that. Do you think they'll do well?
Yeah, well, it shows how strong Pro and Ace is with these drivers coming up and getting good points positions and getting good qualifyings. It just shows that the talent is spread across all three divisions quite nicely, and someone might only be 2 tenths off, yet they're an Ace. So it's interesting to see how these guys mature. Like Robin Panzer, he was struggling towards the beginning of the season, but he's really found his feet, and the Singapore Pro race really showed that.
Yeah, maybe the difference then is maybe not just pace. Is it consistency then? Is that what we're looking for? Saw that bit with Callis in Monza, and he had the pace for the top 4 or 5, but dropped off in race with a couple of errors and a few issues going on there. I seem to believe there was a problem in the first chicane, if I remember rightly. But is that more the issue, that these guys are not necessarily, particularly Pro, who aren't used to such long races, maybe?
Yeah, consistency does play quite a big part. You got, as you say, you got the longer races in Ace and Ace and WC, but yeah, as you say, the consistency, I think it's more being on the edge, being on the edge of the car, going 100% every lap, and that's where the Pro and Ace guys, might suffer a little bit compared to Patel, Simicic, Hoyer, and all that sort of stuff. That's where they struggle, is to be on the pace every single lap. Whereas in Pro and Ace, there is a big difference in talent in Pro, and there is in Ace as well. But it's just that fine edge, that 2-3%, that makes the difference between being first in WC and being 10th or 15th in WC as well. So yeah, consistency does definitely play a part.
Yeah, just looking at the timings, by the way, Callis now 139.121, guys. That's just incredible pace. We might see somebody dip below the 139s. I didn't think it would get anywhere near that, but Simicic is there as well with a 0.212. Tell with a 0.227. Oh, we've just seen a 39.002 there by Callis, actually. So that's as close as you can get to being under 39 without actually being under 39. Maybe we'll see this. There's still another couple of minutes of practice left. Looking who else is still out on the lap. They've still have time, because you can, obviously in this, you can escape and go back and start again. So they've still got time to get a lap in, and then into qualifying as well. Maybe not just for the race, but maybe for pole then. Who are we going to see sitting on pole position?
I'm still going to think that Journey Simicic is going to get pole. He won here last year, so he kind of likes to circuit. So I think Simicic is going to get pole.
I'm looking at this going, can Callis do it again? Can he get an Ace and a WC pole? That would be pretty impressive. To be fair, actually, the guy, he hasn't really not led a lap, has he? Apart from through pit stops and stuff. He was just incredible in Ace. I just think that's an incredible time, actually. I don't count. You know, I wouldn't even count. I quite like the idea of people like Alessandro and Gosby getting involved there as well. Hoyer's nearly left there as well. All those sort of guys. Kiss. I mean, how close is all this between all these guys? Utter madness.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I cannot wait for this race. In all honesty, this is going to be. This looks like it could be one of the closest of the year. And I'm not really quite sure why. Being Singapore, it's one of these where there's, you know, maybe it's just because it is so tight and twisty. And the problem here, I suppose, is overtaking. You know, you've raced this as well. Is that a massive issue here?
Yes and no. I mean, if overtaking. Well, I was stuck behind Cameron Roger here last year, so overtaking, yeah, it's difficult, but I think it's a consistency here. It's nearly 2 hours of being millimeters away from walls. You know, it's going to be quite hard to keep the focus, and all it takes is one split second of misjudgment, and you'll be in the wall. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting who can keep their cool. But yeah, as you said, you know, the times are really close. I think that anyone can get pole. It just depends if they can get the lap in.
Well, that's just it. I think, yeah, you've got the traffic on your qualifying laps as well, and everything going on. It's not so bad here, but the in Formula Sim Racing, because you can escape, which is a good choice, because otherwise there's an awful lot of crashes and problems. But yeah, being so tight at the moment, I'm just watching Gosby doing his final lap. He's just set a purple first sector. See if he can get anywhere near that as we close up to the final few seconds of practice now. But yeah, pole position here probably is more important than quite a lot of tracks as well. So people will really be going for that. So as we come to near the end of practice, we will have to close this out. Guys, remember, if you're watching this, that the Formula Sim Racing YouTube is in our description as well, and you can watch that live, which brings the whole qualifying and race, full broadcast in glorious colour and HD. You can catch the action there. I don't care that that's gone live. You can join that in a minute. Have a watch of this, see if we can get the last few bits of practice out. I want to see what practice to get an idea of what's going to happen in the race and in the qualifying. We then run down the line a little bit. Just to remind you, of course, before we get into it, you can sign up and join as well. It's a great series. Still things going on. 8 tickets now free to join. Let's get involved. Mod is all on Steam Workshop. And that's now been qualified. So thank you very much, Chris, for joining me.
No worries, it's a pleasure.
I know you'll be watching along with myself this race. Thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you next time. Where hopefully Josh is back. If not, you might grab me again. Otherwise, thank you again for Argo for our cameras, and enjoy the qualifying and the race. Everybody here from Singapore at Formula Sim Racing and from SimNews.TV. It's a bye from me.